Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken heart and soul consciousness. Come journey with us exploring the meaningfulness of astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sue Rose Minahan, Talk Cosmos, and we're focusing today on the second eclipse. We're right in the middle of this season. I imagine each one of you have really been experiencing shifts that are just like the lights coming in, the lights going out. It feels almost like a retrograde. People will mention, of course, we have a few planets retrograde, but still it's an extraordinary adventure that we're on. And we'll talk about that together with my great partner, Amanda Pierce, as we go ahead, because this eclipse is offering us an opportunity to change those idle dreams into reality. It involves self-care, healing our self-worth, our talents, and using those resources. That's the big picture. So let's find out how it works. Thanks.
Talk Cosmos explores the journey from the dark new moon to the full moon's blossomed brilliance. In this second week of the month, we look at the moon, our emotional anchor, as this personal planet weaves the past into the present through our memories, feelings, and habits. To decode this month's lunar beats shaping our world, let's meet the astrologers who will connect the moon's emotional story to our lives here on Earth.
I'm Sue Rose Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Amanda Pierce. I'm a soul-centered astrologer, blending intuition into my practice. I believe the universe is always working for our highest good and seek to empower my clients in our readings. I teach a 4-week series of empowerment-based meditation classes that connect you deeper into your own intuition and innate power. I work in communications with a passion for employee experience. I also have a BA in psychology. I'm passionate about healing and enjoy helping others create new realities and shift old paradigms.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop.
Hi, Amanda.
Sue, hello. Good to be back.
It is. It's been quite a summer. Yes, ventures and forward, and we're moving ahead. In fact, we'll both be there in Seattle in September. We'll be at the studio, folks. You'll see us, 2 different cameras, but we'll have that great logo behind us. It'll be fun. Yeah. Well, right now, this lunar eclipse, and it's happening pretty quickly. It's only in 4 days. Well, depending where you are. Here it's 4 days. It's the 27th and 28th of August. No way to really prepare. You just have to experience and be sensitive, right?
Yeah, we're in the thick of it. We're in that eclipse window, that portal, as it's called,
Yes.
And I don't know if anyone else is feeling it, but things are definitely moving. They're shaking. There's stuff going on. So we're in the thick of it.
We are. I can second that 100%. And it's in Pisces. Pisces, it's been, well, we'll bring all this attention. Let's lead forward and see what our slides have what to say. Because, yes, I brought this slide up. We always have it. But eclipses exactly parrot or advise what Wayne Dyer, the great philosopher, metaphysical person, shared, that we change by changing the way you look at things, the things you look at, they change. It's our perspective, is that whole internal focus. But so much, gets put together to make up that perspective. It's not a simple ingredient, but it's a process. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really big piece to this lunar eclipse, as Mercury is pretty prominent. So I know we're going to talk about that quite a bit.
Yes, Mercury, we love to connect with. The facts of it is this is as of London on the 28th of August, and there's a long, it's a pretty long one. It starts at 2 a.m., 2:33 a.m., but it peaks 3 hours later at 5:12 a.m. That's British summertime. And it ends at 6, just an hour later, at 6:15. So all of that, whatever, but it will be visible in the sky over London when the moon sets at 6:15, which is interesting because we won't be able to see it here at all. And it's visible. It's 3 hours and 18 minutes and 5 seconds to be exact. And it'll be visible in Eastern and Central North America, that's New York, Chicago, and Toronto, South America, and Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia. I did not look on the map to see how that was true, but I did find this out. Western Europe and Scandinavia, United Kingdom, Spain, and Iceland, and then West Africa, Senegal, and Ghana. That seems like an enormous area, but it's not real intense. Is it intense? Yeah, it's intense. Well, it's a partial lunar eclipse, so it's not a total one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's 1,200 years, that whole family, and after there's 72 times that it is in a Saros cycle. So within the middle of it, there's maybe 7 or 5 that are total. I'm just guessing here of the 72, but then you have all the ones on the outside that are
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are the facts, because we have a podcast and they might be listening. Let's look at what these signs are telling us, because here we have the North Node, which is staying at the same 29 degrees ever since it entered on July 26th for 11 weeks until October 9th. And the South Node is going to be in Leo, so the North is in Aquarius. But the eclipse is in Pisces and in Virgo. The moon at early 4 degrees, almost 5 degrees, 454, all these numbers. Pisces and Virgo is going to be 454. Virgo. That's quite a wash between water and steam again, or water and fire.
Yeah, I mean, this is our second eclipse in the Aquarius Leo nodal family. So we're starting to see that that dynamic between ourselves and what's best for ourselves and what's best for the collective. And because it's North Node in Aquarius, there is more focus on the collective and raising up the collective, and not so much of a focus on ourselves and on us as individuals, which is not to say that there's anything wrong with doing that. It's just, this is the energetic path that we're on with how the stars are moving us. And the South Node is, it's never like we're saying, oh, don't ever do this South Node energy. It's more like, what of this energy needs to go? And that's
blocking. Yes, it's blocking, because it really gives a new opportunity to find new leadership in those dimensions that we can use for the greater good of any community that we're a part of, or a new community. There's always that. There's new ways of connecting. But the beauty of it, that it requires that Leonian sense of manifesting something within us that maybe had been dormant or not as active, but here you can apply it to this new context, and suddenly it has a vitality and a growth and a dual, and it serves, the fullness of oneself.
There's always gifting in the South Node. It's where we have our past history, and so there's a lot of experience in it, and so there are the gifts that we can give forward on that North Node journey to help support and find that balance, because the North and South Node are in opposition. And so there's a balance needed.
this exact eclipse at 4:54 Pisces, it's a lunar eclipse, meaning it is by its nature one that is a releasing. The light reflects and it's a matter of releasing. It occurs on the 28th. So it is 5.5 total view. I guess this is repeating. It's going to be a 96% deep partial in some areas, which is pretty incredible. It's going to be quite an experience for these areas in Eastern, Central, North America, South America, Western Europe, and Scandinavia, and West Africa. To me, that's practically the whole world. Well, you don't have Asia, come to think of it, you don't have the, down below the equator, but you have part of Africa there, but it's still, yeah. Or the United, yeah. Okay. This is the second. We were very clear of the eclipses last time, how in Leo it went back 8 years, partly because of the Venus star point, which is 8 years. But still, it's a reflection of past things that we set in motion. But in Pisces, I think what's more important than that, it is a mutable sign, meaning it's going to touch anything mutable in your, as it squares and opposes in your chart or trines. But besides others, but it's really that idea that the last 20 months period were in the earlier nodal axis. So we had eclipses because eclipses are always tied to the nodal axis. And meaning that entire, and it's in Pisces, so it's culmination of everything, and at 29 degrees too, with the nodes, meaning that there's some kind of a culmination and a seed that we can take from that to branch out as we emerge from this whole experience. And hopefully it'll be deep, it'll be unified because it's the womb of all, and it's dissolving on a positive nature, some kind of illusions that we had, maybe about ourselves, because there's a lot of nurturing and thinking, as we'll see.
Yeah. And just to kind of set the scene for what is a lunar eclipse, eclipses, they mark karmic turning points. And if you are on the right course, then it can accelerate things for you. If you're maybe a little bit off track, it could shake things up. It will most likely shake things up. And that is to get you onto the right track, so that you can be more authentic to yourself. And that authenticity is really, I like that for this Aquarius Leo, these nodes, like that Leo authenticity, that can then support this Aquarius journey into community and collective, and that sense of everyone just bringing their own true, weird, wacky selves to the table.
It is holistic. I like that whole embracing that you've expressed, and it brings forward that I can say that because with Saturn in Aries, that all that Aries energy also wants honesty, authenticity, autonomy of what it is. And we do compromise. We need to compromise in life, but yet there are moments when we have opportunities we have to, where our heart, our soul, or life is like, what direction am I really leading? What choices do I have? And so here we are. Yeah. We have opportunities. Yeah. And in a sense, it is that closing, the bookends of that journey, and balancing, like you said, the axis and releasing the illusions. It sort of summarizes it. So here we have Pisces, the two fish, one going towards spirit, one going towards matter, which is so much like the Gemini twins. You had the two there where one was mortal and one was immortal. But here, this is our directions, our unified expressions of choice. But they're one, but they're two fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
There's
I'll
more to add
comment a
there.
little bit more. No, it's okay
Beautiful
because
graphic.
it goes into a mythology, but that may not be vital at this moment. But it's where Venus and Eris, her child, or Mercury and the cherub, anyway, Eros, and they were being followed by the Titans, the horrible monster that whatever was going to, and they were the last ones to leave. And she said, we'll jump in the river and we'll be fish. And they did. They jumped in the river and there were fish. And so it's this idea that because do you join forces with the unknown, the immortality of the divinity of whatever it is in life that is beyond what we just see, that incorporates that greater part of nature, the wildness. So, all right, onward. Out of bound, we have those power planets, Mars and Pluto. They're independent. They're saying, no, it's my way, thank you. I'm going to be really who I am. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and this is, I think it's in the next slide, probably, where you link to this article, which I wasn't familiar with, and so I kind of went down the rabbit hole, and it's fascinating. This the Pluto transiting out of bounds. It only transits out of bounds in the signs of Leo and Aquarius, so it's very specific to those energies, and it's generally between 2 degrees Aquarius and 17 degrees Aquarius, or Aquarius Leo, and around 9 or 10 is like the height of that power energy. And what happens when right now Pluto is transiting out of bounds to the south, so that is the Aquarius energy, and so that's where our north node is right now. And so historically, what we've seen is that the people will rise up through revolts, rebellions, chaos, collapse during these periods, during this Pluto transiting out of bounds. And what is it, 2025 through 2035 that Pluto is out of bounds?
10 years.
Yeah. And this
off and on. It jumps in, jumps out. Yeah.
And the last time, or not the last time, but historically, when Pluto's transit out of bounds, we've seen things like the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Reformation of the Catholic Church. It's where the people have come up and said no more. So really interesting times that we'll be living in.
It is. I have it natally. I was during that at the end, of that period. And it is fascinating to try to understand, because there's, once again, a planet is connected with so many other things. We have that natal sextile with your Neptune, of course. But it does add, I think, a passion and a relentless interrogation of why is this happening, and just the exchange of deep committed relationships. I mean, in so many ways, it's this astrologer Roseanne Finn, who has done all this research, she's also noted that these this 2 to 17 Leo Aquarius are, when anything transits that, or if you have that natally, those are power points, and like it's really like supercharged, and so, like, for instance, you'll see like people that have a passion to reform the world, like Oprah Winfrey's got 10 degrees Aquarius sun. Barack Obama is 12 degrees Leo sun. Franklin Roosevelt, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. amazing.
Yeah, they're both in that power range. Yeah.
Wow.
So really interesting. So look at your own natal chart and see what do you have. If you have anything between 2 and 17, Leo or Aquarius. And when any planets are transiting through that, and we have that in this lunar eclipse chart, and so we'll take a look at that as well. Really, really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, mine's at 14, so it is right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I was thinking about here. It's hard to not think about your own self at some point, I guess. But I was wondering, gee, what about my Jupiter? That's 1 degree 42 minutes Aquarius. How? Who knows?
Very close, right?
Yeah, it's close enough for jazz. Yeah. Let's see. Not out of bounds, but retrograde. Pluto is retrograde right now, out of bounds. So we are going back and reanalyzing and thinking and bringing that back. And there's no real time, when it comes to Pluto, it's a lot like Mercury. I think it just goes into this vast chamber of the distance. And we're in, well, I didn't know quite where we're at, so I will come back to this, but this is Amanda Pierce and Amanda Moon Astrology. Usually we do this at the halftime. And these are coming up next week will be myself about Mars. There's 2 transits that are happening. One is Mars square Saturn that I'll be talking about, Cancer and Aries. And then Laura Tad, Dr. Tad is back from her journeys like Amanda, and we'll be talking about the trine, and that'll be 3 trines. So they're both putting together the picture of life. And the Moon Journal, we're always talking about the Moon Journal, connect with Laura's Mythic Sky, and you can find out about it. Well, we have a few minutes happily about this Sabian symbol, 5 degrees Pisces, a church bazaar. These imageries are so important.
Right. So this is the degree of the moon, that moon in Pisces. It's an interesting one. It's a church bazaar. It's people coming together and coming together under like a shared initiative, a shared journey, and looking to support that through material gains, like selling things at a bazaar.
Oh yeah, we have those.
Yeah. So it's a lot of people think money, spirituality can't really mix, but there is it's kind of like this juxtaposition of this spiritual world with like how do you take care of yourself in the real world, in the material world.
I like where you're going. It's like applying perhaps the manifestation, the products of what you've gained through the spiritual context. Because if you just harbor themselves, I know even in talking about all this astrology, when push comes to shove, and it's that moment, it's like, what were we talking about? What do I need to remember that we're going through right now? So I can manage to incorporate, to benefit, to have the wisdom, to not. That's what it's all about. It's like what light's shining. So here, because they're just images, but the church is that gathering of the sacred, in whatever denomination, or without it, even the building, could be the Stonehenge. But but the bazaar is physically somehow sharing tools, sharing knowledge, and it's for everybody's, for the betterment, as it says, from the community.
Yeah, and it's collective, right? This is a group of people, and so this Pisces moon is conjunct this North Node in Aquarius, and we often don't think that those two can go together, but this is a very this symbol shows how those two work together quite well.
Very closely, very much so. It's really asking once again, years back, whatever, in the last 10 years, especially you and I coming from Seattle, as I was at that time, you still are based in Seattle, and we would listen to Rick Levine at the astrological, Washington State Astrological Association, which is still going on. They meet every Tuesday, once a month, for second Tuesday. point being, Rick would often at that time give talks wherever, however he was, and he would bring up the Hopi legend that has been expounded on somewhat, but the truth of what it's saying is, in another dimension, there'll be a time, and we're in those times right now, so it has been declared by many of us that are experiencing, that it'll be too rough on the shore and you need to go into the waters, into the river, and that's where you'll meet your community. So here we have very much, again and again, all of these factors, these aspects are that encouraging us to say, hey, use your assets, let go of this that's getting in your way, manifest there, share it here, learn new dimensions. And this is amazingly, like you say, connects.
And when you think about it in terms of, so this is the symbol for the lunar eclipse. And when you put it in that perspective, it's like, well, what is this? What is needed here for myself? Oh. And that Pisces energy, like you said, Sue, of letting go and allowing the universe to support you on your journey and, move forward, which an eclipse will do sometimes in a challenging way. We don't always know which way we're going to be asked to move. To do that and to allow that level of trust in the universe, but also connect it to the material world.
Yeah.
So that's the piece that I think can be so challenging for many of us, is that our spiritual world isn't necessarily separate from the nitty-gritty earthly realm that we're on.
Yeah, I got so carried away and enjoying all of that I see that this, which is just in time before we take our little getaway break, which we always do at the half hour. But Dane Rutjar, who has a wonderful book on his mandala of all of the 360 degrees, talks just very clearly what we've been mentioning, that it is that value of giving a spiritual or transient sanction to even the most commonplace interchanges. And I think there has great value because that gives the mystery and the miraculousness of life that is so often spoken of in many, spiritual, religious, whatever communities. And it's every moment, if we can attach that, associate it, recognize it, welcome it. Yeah. Okay, well, shall we take our little break and return in a moment, folks, with Amanda Pierce and myself. We're going to work this lunar eclipse that's happening that we're feeling pretty closely. Thanks.
While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Virgo. By leaving a cycle based on the creative manifested legacy of our highest creative form, the energy of Virgo completes the last sign below the horizon of the self and requires discernment to perfect oneself through the mental process of critical analysis. As a mutable earth sign duly ruled by Mercury, Virgo refines, heals, or fixes through daily routines, developing skills and services to control nature's chaos and maximize efficiency.
Talk Cosmos ignites conversations to awaken heart and soul consciousness every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific. Listen on KKNW, stream the video on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page, or catch the podcast on major podcast carriers. While you're there, remember to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Plus, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com to join our expedition and launch your week into the cosmic wonder.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to NewProSupplements.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, it's an encore presentation. Tune in to hear our last energy balancing show with Linda Rasmussen. We took phone calls, and Linda helped callers and their animal friends with emotional, behavioral, and physical issues, and you can receive a surrogate healing just by tuning in, listening, and following along with Linda's instructions. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Talk radio with a purpose. Alternative Talk 1150.
Hi, Amanda. We're back again. Well, the Chandra symbols, John Sandberg, is it Berg, I think? Yeah, he has a definition of the symbols, interpretations, many astrologers do, but it's often looked at it. And in this case, go ahead and tell us about this Pisces 5. And it is rounded off. I was not clear last time with the eclipse. I found different information, but you thankfully read that he himself said it was rounded off. So there's no discrepancy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the same degree for the moon in Pisces that we were looking at with the Sabian symbol. And so this is a different interpretation of that degree's energy. And this is thousands of gold nuggets glistening at the bottom of a clear stream. I love this. I love this, especially for this specific chart that we're going to get into, because there is such a level of clarity to it, like being able to see all of these golden nuggets at the bottom of a stream and not have them obscured. And these golden nuggets, this could be wisdom or insights coming forward. A lot of potential to see things that are going to benefit us that we weren't able to see previously.
Jupiter and Leo, I'm really happy about this. Yeah. I'm really happy about this. Amazingly, because this is good.
Yeah, and gold is the it's the metal of royalty, right? And that's that Leo energy.
And for the purpose, if I might say, because it's malleable and it's also lasting. You have to look like, why is it that people chose certain things? We used to have shells up in the Pacific Northwest that people exchanged, for goods or different other things that were of value. But gold lasts forever. It doesn't corrode or anything. And so that's why it's been, besides it's pretty, it shines up, I guess.
Yeah.
So it does. And it relates to the sun, the thinking of it. But yes, so I love the idea that there is, in that spiritual excavation that we're doing, that we're bringing back and giving in our bazaar, that it will have worth. It'll have value that is applicable for us to expand and grow and develop and become.
Absolutely. And all that gifting of that South Node in Leo that we have of our individual worth, that we are moving into that North Node realm.
Yeah, it's supported by everything. I think of the whole chart with, well, let's see what these charts say. Here we have it. This is at 4 degrees, 54, almost 5 degrees, 6 minutes off of Pisces Lunar Eclipse. And Eastern time, that's going to be 12:18 a.m. on the 28th. On the, I got EDT on for both of them. Isn't that cute? Well, at any rate, Pacific is 3 hours. No. You know what? What in the heck was I doing?
Yeah, that 9:18 p.m. is Pacific.
Which one?
9:18 p.m.
Okay, well, the first one should be over in Europe, I think.
No, that's Eastern time. Yeah.
Oh, that is Eastern time. Oh, so I just forgot to put the Pacific. Oh, I've been working on 3 different groups. All right, thank you very much.
One of the, it's been interesting, this like leading up to this lunar eclipse. It's we were talking about it before before we started this show, it's almost like a Mercury retrograde on steroids. There's just so much discord around technology and little things.
But I'm realizing, I'm just going to jump here for a moment, because we know that Uranus is squaring the nodes, which we'll talk about later. And what does that mean? Uranus is the moment at hand. That's what, it flashes, and it's the moment at hand. That's vibrational astrology too. That what we see, the present doesn't care about the past, doesn't care about the future. It's right now, and it's always changing. That's why it's so volatile. In a sense. But it's in Mercury. I mean, it's in Gemini, which of course is, Mercury of our thoughts. But it's words, it's communication, it's our connections, communication and connections. And when you think about that too, it means that we have to scramble it up. Life is, if it's going to change our orientation, it's like not quite like a strobe light, because you can even get used to, if you've ever experienced strobe lights, you kind of go, okay, I got this down. Just follow the light. You can make it. But here it's like a kaleidoscope that's changing all our pictures, and also in a hologram. It's like this hologram and then that hologram, and we're just being into some other, maybe the fourth dimension.
Yeah, and when I look at this chart, and specifically Uranus in it, to me this looks like a lot of synapses firing in new ways that we haven't experienced before.
New pathways.
Yeah, new pathways. And when this happens, it's not like it happens all of a sudden. Uranus, like all of the outer planets, it's all happening like within, underneath us, until it gets to this threshold where, boom, it comes to our conscious awareness. And that is, I think, what we're going to be seeing quite a bit with this lunar eclipse, especially because, yes, it's square the nodes, it's square the sun and the moon, and it's square Mercury, our mental process, and like how we think about things. So there's going to be so much coming forward for us, and thinking about that Chandra symbol, that clarity of seeing the gold nuggets. I think we're going to be seeing some gold nuggets. I think there's going to be some synapses firing that's really
powerfully constructive. It's constructive, because we are going through this other dialogue of yin and yang. The eclipse itself, which is in Pisces-Virgo, is yin energy, receiving of some sort. And the yang, they flip, they alternate as they go around, and it is a Taoism of everything. But the yang would be the actual eclipse of the moon and the sun. So there's this dialogue, this give and take of sharing, which is again the bazaar, and of course for what purpose, the totality of seeing it. But interestingly, just here, the two planets, the inner planets, Venus and Mercury, are in their own signs, and Venus isn't so active; it rules Chiron, we could say, but which is important, of course, but it is with the strategy of Pallas, and it's observing and thinking and figuring out those values that you were talking about, of how we're going to let go. What are we going to let go? Who's us, and what do we want to share? Who do we want to share with those values so much? Yeah.
Well, and lunar eclipses are often associated with relationships because of that sun-moon opposition, and that opposition is relationship based. So Venus is not. It's not like it's not heavily aspected in this chart, but if we're looking at this through a relationship theme, it could come forward as it's going to have impact.
Thank you for reminding me, because I think our entire language, both of us, but it's to realize it's part of a whole process that's evolving. Because just like you were bringing up the transpersonal planets that are right now in this mini grand trine, as we know, that's redefining and dissolving things, but that what we see, we find those personal moments to attach, or with energies that come in to to accept. That's part of this process, I think, is to accept the fact, to let it emerge and to recognize it for what it is, and give it the value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it ties it in that it's not just, okay, we see, but it's like water, vibrations move. Not that you don't know this, but we're just relating how vibrations move. The water, it falls in, it goes out. It's that motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so here is what we were just explaining and the complexity of it, because Uranus is tethered, you could say, to Gemini, which it rules, but it's activating. It's like, okay, what do you think? And what are we going to do now? And, because Gemini likes to figure out all these things. And it's in Virgo, which means it's discerning. It's trying to figure out, hey, what's the priority? Are these really still what is important to you or not? And it doesn't mean tossing it out and killing it, because it's, the opposite is in Pisces or in Aquarius. You're really just saying, give it its value, but let it rest. Let it.
Yeah. I mean, Virgo here, the Sun and Mercury are conjunct the South Node. So this is a time where we are letting go of the Virgo processes that are not really supporting us. And Virgo is just a master of analysis, right? It takes the information and it just will process through it and figure out, it can figure out a worldview for you. It can do whatever you want with it.
Yep.
But that analysis can sometimes be a way to control the world, or
it needs to. It seeks that.
Yeah, that false sense of control. Like, oh, well, we have all this information.
Yeah, got this all figured out.
I'm going to think it through. And it's that doing it from the head that is not really supporting us right now. That's where this is a lunar eclipse with a moon in Pisces. We're about flow right now. We're about trusting the universe. And Virgo's amazing. Mercury in Virgo is a powerhouse, but we're letting go of it ruling us at this time. And that desire.
That's right. It's really, to, once again, bring in from that spiritual into the grounding of physicality, of exchange, and also with the idea of, the exchange, and also of realizing what the value is, the depths of it inside that.
Yeah, and that Virgo of there is the gifting here. So the Virgo is opposing that Pisces. So we want to find that balance. The lunar eclipse is about balance. And so yes, we have that analytical ability, but it's there for us to use when we need it, not to kind of rule our lives.
Good idea. Tool. Mercury and Virgo can understand that language. That's like, yes, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what's the new tool? Let's find out. Okay.
And Uranus in here, like, is coming in, and it's wanting to shake it up and bring into our perspective what it is like that we need to let go, so that we can head more towards this flow and this trust with the universe.
And it's a big party of energies here going on. So we're like, folks, we're delineating the best we can, but it's just, when you cook anything, any recipe, it's many different ingredients. And that's what we're experiencing here, because there is this yod, which is a matter of a flow, that's a connection that's going on that can't quite adjust to something that it's both attached to. But that's only part of this, because as you were speaking, I kept thinking of that Venus, and Venus is really balancing in its Libran sense, which won't be equal, but it'll be in some sense that strategy. And it's like you say, in behind the scenes. But what about this Yod. This Yod is also right attached. And Yod's, because it's 150 degrees, doesn't have a lot of, the sextile has a pretty good orb. It's still moderate. But the quincunx is very tight, maybe 1 degree. So we're looking at the 3 degrees Neptune, the 3 degrees Pluto, which can't get any tighter, folks. That's like, we are really focused deeply on this whole visionary concept of illusions and imagination and connections and all of it with the sun.
Yeah, a Yod, also called the finger of God.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's because it's pointing directly at this focus point where there's this intense pressure. It can feel disorienting. And it's meant to push you into kind of a rapid adjustment. And it's ultimately there to transform, but there's so much pressure, so much focus in this area on this. So this sun in Virgo, this Mercury in Virgo. And so this analytical, really like digging into the details so that you can like make sense of things. That energy, very uncomfortable, but it's going to come forward for all of us. And generally there's not really a standard release point, but this is a boomerang Yod. So which means at the opposite end is the moon. So all of that energy that's like being pulled into, pushed into that sun Mercury has an outlet in the moon. It boomerangs into the moon, which means that this is where that energy can discharge. It's where it can become conscious and it can become a channel of expression. So the more that we can lean into non-linear thinking, creativity, anything artistic, anything that doesn't make linear sense to us.
Logic, like allow the synopsis of just the intuition, the organic instinct to move, because there's other signs with all that fire. That's what it wants. And I'm also realizing the moon really connects the emotional part of us that unifies that analytical. When we bring our mind in with our emotional heart, the path operates, because we are because of our emotions some ways, and we have emotions because of our thoughts, and they go back and forth. Well, this is one kind of regroup here, just stating for people and ourselves to kind of pause as we go to the next one, that to remind, okay, we have the North Node as in Pisces that can hold two truths at once, that sees the whole picture, you could say. I mean, I think Jupiter does as well, but this is what involves everything. There's no boundaries. And the collective, right? So we need to get out of that head and analyze for that control factor. That the known is not what we need. We need the unknown. It's in doing that, we allow for those like synapses to fire and for new information and golden nuggets to come in, and like to have that clarity around, well, where are we going? And it's not control in the sense that we think of it, but it I think will help us if we allow ourselves to surrender to that. It will provide a level of clarity that allows us to kind of get out of the fear, of not knowing. Well, and really, I keep thinking of these images of, like, if you plant a bunch of seeds, which in Pisces we do, that's the idea, is that we have all the collective stuff, and some of those seeds get put into the next new moon or the next beginning of the chart going around. But you don't know what that plant's always going to look like wildflowers. You get a bunch of wildflowers in your mix, And you might get more bluebells, or you might get more lutein, or whatever the flower is that come up. And you see it as it evolves. And that's really the beauty of it, because there's a trust factor here. By knowing yourself, going into that depth of experience, one can begin to see the signs of like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I need to regroup here, or, oh, no, go ahead, it's okay, type of thing. Yeah. So we're not. Well, there was one more here this is our last chart. And with that all said, because Saturn, which will be the focus of the next 2 weeks conversation in different ways, because it has these two relationships, but it's good for us to bring it to address right now, that Saturn at 13 degrees, what is it, 52? Well, anyways, it's almost 14 degrees, but it's 13 degrees. Aries is in an action square with Saturn in Cancer. It hasn't quite perfected.
Mars in Cancer.
It will in the next few days on the 31st or September 1st. And then with Jupiter, it'll perfect also. With Mars, it's on the 31st. And then on Jupiter, it's the 1st, but they're only hours apart. So essentially, it's this tight kind of push, pull, expansion, what's really fundamental, and growth.
Yeah. And that Saturn Mars, it's Saturn in Aries. It's we're learning to be our own authorities of ourselves. Mm-hmm. This is part of that Saturn in Aries journey of really creating the world and our reality that is true to us as an individual. And that's coming up on that square with Mars, where Mars is in an emotional sign. It's in that Cancer. It's not super comfortable in Cancer.
It wants to protect.
Yeah. It's not very direct, it's moving side to side like the crab. And so there's going to be some tension around how do we take action on behalf of ourselves, where we're wanting to create this new reality for ourselves. And it can feel really uncomfortable, and it can feel like it's not safe. Yeah. And so moving through this, I think more of that surrender, because that Mars is ruled by this moon in Pisces.
Yeah. So, and I just noticed though, the Mercury, thankfully, and the Sun are trying in a flowing energy with Chiron that is helping us get that self-worth and of all of it. Well, let's see what the next one is. I didn't realize that we had this point of Thales.
Well, and there's one thing that I think that I really would love to touch on, which is Jupiter at 12 degrees Leo is at that one of those power points.
Yes. It's Pluto, also on my Pluto. Points. Hello, I've got it opposite. I've got it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is like to have Jupiter in Leo at a Pluto power point during this lunar eclipse is quite potent. Jupiter is also the traditional ruler of Pisces, so it rules the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
So there is like quite a bit of potency.
Web.
Yeah, yeah. And so when we think about Jupiter at a power point, one of these Pluto power points, it's like this is like your own individual power and how you want to bring that forward using this Leo energy of creativity and sovereignty, being that heart-centered leader. Like this is
sharing.
Yeah. And yes, we have the South Node in Leo, but that does not mean we can't embrace.
Oh no, it's just integrating
Leo.
to make it stronger.
Yeah.
The other is a polarity to balance out. Maybe, it's like maybe you put too much vinegar in the salad dressing.
We're
You put a little
letting
more oil
go.
or something else. That's right. But
we're letting
thank
go
you.
of the Leo energy that doesn't serve us anymore, and bringing in the good stuff, bringing in
Exactly.
like potency,
So that we
these
can
golden
be
nuggets.
take that self and share it. And just that nurturing ourselves here with Ceres is going to be one of those factors that is helping mitigate that polarity, and Chiron, which is really always true. Well, thank you, Amanda. I think I'm feeling more empowered now as we're wafting the river, maybe like we were I was talking about floating down the stream. Maybe I can do that in life.
Right. I mean, it's a stream filled with golden nuggets and clarity. So let's embrace it.
Yeah. Oh, goody. Well, okay. We have the end. I guess the Labor Day weekend, and I'll be at UAC for anybody that's coming there. And do check with the next 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about more of it. But thank you, Amanda Pierce. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for joining this vibrant conversation on Talk Cosmos. Every week, Sue Rose Minahan and her guests explore life's deeper meanings through astrology's energetic patterns. If you loved today's episode, hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. And join us next week, same time, same place, as we continue our journey together through the roots of the cosmic pathway.